Okay, part C. For t between 0 and 40, must the particle change direction in any of the subintervals indicated by the data in the table? If so, identify the subintervals and explain your reasoning. If not, explain why not. So I start out by saying particle changes direction when v of t changes sign. When velocity is positive, the particle is moving to the right. When velocity is negative, the particle is moving to the left. So, second, we can see from the table that at time t equals 8, the velocity is 5, and at time t equals 20, the velocity is 10, negative 10. So therefore, sometime between 8 and 20, the particle had to change sign. Now, because this function is a continuous function, we know that because it's differentiable. Because velocity is continuous, the intermediate value theorem tells us that there's no way for it to get from 5 to negative 10 without passing through 0. And the same thing happens again between time t equals 32 and time t equals 40. So I state since v of t is continuous by the intermediate value theorem, it has to pass through 0 at least during these two intervals. It could pass through 0 and change signs at other places, but we know that it has to at least during those two intervals. And that's more than sufficient to answer that. Part D, we're told, suppose that the acceleration of the particle is positive from time t equals 0 to t equals 8 seconds. And we want to explain why the position of the particle at time t equals 8 seconds must be greater than x equals 30 meters. Well, first of all, we want to note that what it means for the particle to have a positive acceleration. So the particle is moving to the right at time t equals 0, and since acceleration is positive, that means that the particle is speeding up to the right. So at a minimum, the particle is traveling 3 meters per second over the interval from 0 to 8, time t equals 0 to t equals 8. So its position would be at least 31. So it started at position x equals 7, and it increased 24 more units to the right, so it should be at least at position 31, which is greater than 30. And that answers this question. So that wraps up this problem.